Okay, great. So, the tunnel system was found in 2006 when we were looking for a possible entrance that would lead us directly towards the Pyramid of the Sun. And in 2006, we used the help of some local people and found a small cave right there that you could enter for about 5 to 6 meters. But at the end of this cave, we found something really unnatural for underground cave systems. If that was the case, we found this material that you can see right behind you, this really loose material. This is river gravel, and it had to be brought here to fill in the tunnel system for some reason. Currently, that reason to us is unclear, but we are trying to figure out why that is. Our primary goal is to reach the Pyramid of the Sun, and we have currently cleared out about 3 kilometers of the tunnels, but today we are going to be visiting some 500 to 600 meters just to see the most essential things.
Okay.
The temperature here inside the tunnels is a constant 12.5 degrees Celsius. It never changes during the entire year. It stays the same. Just like the humidity in the air, which is 85%, and the concentration of oxygen, which is 20.4%. One of the most ideal amounts, being that ideal amounts of oxygen vary from 20 to 22%, and you can breathe normally. Here in this room and even in the deepest parts of the tunnels. This is mostly because the air circulates through these tunnels, because of the different heights of the ceiling. We don't have any ventilation systems, any type of artificial ventilation. It's because we don't need it. The different heights of the ceiling affect the air pressure differently, forcing the air to circulate in and out of the tunnels. But because of the way that the air travels through these tunnels, almost like an airstream, it causes friction alongside the conglomerate, which is everywhere around us. Because of this, high amounts of electrons are being released into the air. And these free electrons in turn ionize these tunnels, which is why we have found high concentrations of negative ions. The negative ions in these tunnels have been recorded in concentrations of between 20,000 to 200,000 per centimeter cubic. Now that is an enormous amount, being that in the outside world, in urban regions that are industrialized mostly, in cities and industrial zones, concentrations of negative and positive ions alike can be between 100 and 300 per centimeter cubic, which is a lot less than here. In forests and on mountains, sometimes it can be even more, from 1,000 to 5,000 per centimeter cubic. Now, being that the concentrations here inside the tunnels are so large, so massive, they can function as natural air filters. Sometimes, over time, they latch onto particles of dust, microorganisms in the air everywhere around us. Over time, they bring them to the ground, and then we are left with purified air to breathe. This is why we recommend you to breathe in deeply. Enjoy the air here, because I guarantee that it's much cleaner than the one outside. We're going to visit our first artifact that we have found inside the tunnels right now in this direction, so please follow me. It is a ceramic block, and there is something really interesting about it. Please take a seat. So like I said, this is one of the first artifacts that we have found inside the tunnels. It is a ceramic block comprised of 2 parts. You can see the lid on top and the base on the bottom, and they are separated by this line that you can also see. Instead of separating these 2 parts to see what's inside, we used a georadar, which scans through the surface of the lid to see what's inside. What the georator detected is small air bubbles, which indicate that the lid was taken off at a certain point. Something was either extracted or inserted, and the lid was placed back on top imprecisely, allowing the air to be captured inside. But the georadar also picked up high amounts of silicon dioxide. Silicon dioxide can be most commonly found in nature today in the form of quartz crystals. Quartz, because of the way that it's formed in nature, can manipulate different frequencies, just like prisms can manipulate light. But to do so, it must have a source frequency to transform. They most commonly come into contact with this quartz inside the ceramic block in the form of underground radiation, or the radiation that comes from our Earth, from our planet. And they are most commonly created by subterranean water flows that are created when the water flows over gravel, stones, pretty much anything that can distort their natural flow. Because of this, the creation of geopathogenic waves happens, and they are released mostly upwards, but pretty much in every direction, because it is just a sound. They collide with the conglomerate that's everywhere around us, and because of this, they can weaken its structure. Because of it, it could possibly cave in, but this is avoided because of this transformer right here. The geopathogenic waves collide with the quartz crystals found inside the ceramic block. Because of it, because it's in an enclosed space, in a space where it doesn't have too much room to move, they cause the quartz to start vibrating very violently in the enclosed space. And these types of movements create electromagnetic fields. The electromagnetic field here was measured to be between... Oprostite, morate sad svest. Nema veze, hajde. Mi ćemo završiti svakako. Da, nema veze. So, like I was saying, the electromagnetic field was measured to be around 28 kilohertz. This was done by a group of engineers from Zenica, a nearby city. They came here, measured the electromagnetic field around every ceramic block that we have found. We have found them all to have the same strength, the same electromagnetic field, and also the same function. They all function the same way. Now, this electromagnetic field, as it spreads out in a radius, it collides with geodes of quartz that we have found to be inside the conglomerate everywhere around us. The conglomerate is rich in silicon dioxide. This is why it has so much quartz in it, because geodes of quartz form mineral crystal formations. Sometimes you can even see layers of quartz in places around us as we are going through the tunnels. And as it collides with the quartz, just like the greenhouse effect when light bounces off, the frequency as it bounces off, it is amplified due to the piezoelectric effect. Because of this, you get the frequency of 28 to 42 kilohertz. This is also the frequency of ultrasound used in modern medicine. You have definitely heard of that before. In modern medicine, it is used in a healing nature, but here inside the tunnels, you're under the effects of the ultrasound wherever you are inside the tunnels, not just near the ceramic blocks. This is something that obviously people misunderstand, like you just saw. You can be anywhere inside the tunnels and still be under the effects of it. You have animals that can hear the ultrasound, for example, bats, which have really sensitive ears, really sensitive hearing. And they are disturbed by the ultrasound, being that they use echolocation to orient themselves. They cannot do that here inside the tunnels. This is why you will not see any bats, any rats, any mice, any snakes inside the tunnels, just a lot of big spiders. Now we can move on to our next destination. I have something really important to show you. So please follow me. Watch out.
Meditation. Mhm.
So, right here you have a really good example of side tunnels. Side tunnels are still unfortunately filled in because we currently do not possess the finances, materials, or manpower to clear out everything at the same time. But because of this, we are left with a good example to see what all of these tunnels used to look like at a certain point. You see the shape of the tunnel, the ceiling of the tunnel, and the form of the conglomerate. And of course, the material that fills it in. Now this material is what we are taking out, extracting from the tunnels, cleaning them, not digging them. We just take this material out using shovels, wheelbarrows. We don't have to use any heavy machinery, any dynamite, because shovels are all that we need. We just take the gravel out, and then we are left with a passage that we can walk through, research further. Now, a lot of the times while we are clearing out these tunnels, we run into these dry walls that you can see here. These dry walls are made out of creed stones found on riverbeds. Experts have told us that these had to be brought here because of their specific shape and texture. They are indeed found on riverbeds. They got this texture and shape through years and years of the flowing of rivers, how it affected them over time. And they are mostly made out of these stones without any binder in between, only gravity being the only thing that's holding them together. And we have found so many examples inside the tunnels in such a small space, around 3 kilometers. We have found almost 100 examples, which is a lot for such a small area. That we believe they are artificial and not natural, and also they are made in an organizing matter. They are made connected to these side tunnels, and one of their main uses being to hold in the gravel while other parts of the tunnels were being filled in. That is why we believe that they are artificial and not natural. You can take a look again if you want to see what it looks like. And then we can continue with our tour.
Okay.
Please follow me over here. And right here you have another example of the side tunnels, and you will see that some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger.
Mhm. Oh.
Got your head, please. You can take a seat. Whoa, indeed. Now, before we continue with this, what you see here, I should mention that the tunnel that you saw over there that was lit up is really important for our project. Inside that tunnel, we found a piece of carbonated wood inside the gravel that we were clearing out. This piece of carbonated wood is organic material, and this organic material, its age can be dated back to radiocarbonization analysis that we did on an institute in Kiev. They sent us back the results. Turns out that the piece of carbonated wood is about 5,000 years old. This means that these tunnels were filled in about 5,000 years ago. Now this that you see here is another ceramic block, one of the largest ones that we have found inside the tunnels. This is the K2 ceramic block, and it has a mass of 8 tons. This ceramic block was found to have a pedestal that it lays on, and this pedestal is made out of sandstone. You can see it right here. That it lays on. This pedestal is made out of sandstone, but in between the sandstone and the ceramic block, you have the mixture you have a layer, a mixture of glue, glue based on calcium carbonate. And this is a really strong type of natural glue. We call it natural because all of the materials for it you can find naturally underground. For example, in this very room. It keeps this ceramic block stuck to the ground, making it immovable. Added, of course, to the mass of the ceramic block, which is about 8 tons. I don't think anybody's going to move that. But aside from that, this ceramic block is also the only one that we found to not have a layer of quartz crystals like the other one. Instead, it has a large piece of quartz or chunk of quartz this big, and it's located right here where this little decolorization is. But it still serves the same function as all the other ceramic blocks. This was confirmed to us by the same group of engineers that you can see right here. They measured the electromagnetic field and told us that it's strong enough to actually feel in your palms. So we are going to try a little experiment here. If you would like to join me, please do so. The main thing we're going to do here is put our palms 10 to 15 centimeters above the ceramic block. And this way you allow the electromagnetic field to affect the electric impulses in your palms. One of the main reactions and sensations people feel from this experiment is like a small numbing sensation in the tips of your fingers. Sometimes almost like pricking or even waves of heat. But people have also said that in some places around the ceramic block they don't feel much, but in other places they do. So try to move your palms like this a little bit to other places around the ceramic block. Sometimes, for example, here you can feel waves of heat.
Sí. Calura.
Ale to otrawie.
Awesome.
Okay, so we can continue to our next destination. Please don't forget your phone. We are going to see the first accumulation of water that we have found inside the tunnels. So please follow me.
Come on, baby.
Watch the nose cut, I want to make it better.
So you can see again how high this place, for example, is, while the other part you had to crouch down. And these are the different heights of the ceiling that I mentioned before that affect the air pressure. Here you can also see another example of the side tunnels. You can see the tunnel that already exists and the gravel that fills it in. And like I said, all we do is take out this gravel out and then we are left with another tunnel.
Mhm.
But just be careful right here. Please watch your head. Great. Now, this is one of the highest parts of the tunnels that we have found inside the entire network system. As you can see how high the ceiling goes, and on your right side we have found 7 side tunnels. Now please take a look at what's at the end of this tunnel. It's lit up at the end. It is the first accumulation of water that we have found inside the tunnels in 2011. It has a surface area of about 10 square meters and a depth of about half a meter. Please take a seat. I would recommend on this side. Excuse me. I would recommend on this side.
Okay.
Now, during our further clearing of the tunnels in this direction, we found 2 more accumulations of water that you can see right here. The first one 200 meters long and the second one 154 meters long. Now, these tunnels contain canals of water in this case. They are not like the small lake that you saw over there. These canals of water are made at a 90-degree angle on both sides. They have the depth of 170 centimeters, and on the bottom, it is almost like it's tiled. They have a mixture of stones and clay, which do not allow the water to pass through the ground, instead keeping it there almost like in some reservoir. When we found these waters, we could see directly through them, so we knew that the waters were pretty clean, but we didn't know if they were absolutely clean. So we decided to send samples to the Institute for Safety and Health Regulations of Food and Water. They sent us back 2 certificates telling us that we are working with water which is clean, drinkable, and pH neutral. The pH value of this water is 7.58, but we didn't stop there. Instead, we contacted Dr. Masaru Emoto, a Japanese scientist who has dedicated his entire life into researching water, its mechanics, and the way that it functions. He's done countless experiments through his entire life, most of them being based on exposing the water to different frequencies, tones, distortions in sound waves of our voice and music to see how they affect the crystalline structure of water. Through many of them, he has proven that even some frequencies can affect the water in a positive way. He photographed our water from the tunnels under an electronic microscope when it was frozen and saw that it had a perfect hexagonal shape. And he told us that this is something that he's run into earlier, a classic example of living water, that it's gained its value through the ultrasound that was constantly affecting it. And that this water could possibly leave positive effects on people who drank it. So we decided to test this out along with the Institute of Bion in Ljubljana, Slovenia. We sent them the water, they did some of their analysis, and then sent the water to a nursing home where a group of elderly people drank the water through the course of a month. And after the 1 month had passed, they sent us back the results of the blood test analysis from the laboratory of their blood, and we saw that they had stabilized blood pressure levels, stabilized blood sugar levels, and optimized amounts of leukocytes or white blood cells, which affect our immune system. Unfortunately, they decrease in number as we age. Instead, these people had a counter effect. They were more mobile, more active than usual. They could run or walk more, even do some exercises. And when people heard about this, people came here not only throughout Slovenia, but throughout the Balkans. Of course, trying to swim in the water, trying to grab it in their helmets, fill bottles, something we couldn't allow because we are working with water which is stationary. We are working with water which can easily be contaminated. This is why we closed it off, and no one has access to the water except a few people. Now we fill small bottles of 250 milliliters that we can that we sell in our souvenir shop. And the reason why we sell it is because it's one of the only ways we can allow everybody to try the water without contaminating its source, but also one of the ways that we finance our project, being that we are not financially supported by the government or any private companies. So we have to keep the project on its feet by ourselves, by selling tickets that you bought today, books of Dr. Sam Osmanagic, including the water and other souvenirs. And of course, that was the request of some of our guests who wanted to try the water and not our own idea. So we listened to our guests and now we sell the water. We have had a couple of donations from people like Novak Djokovic, who we are very thankful to. He's done a lot for our project, but most of our gratitude goes towards our guests who constantly visit us. This is why I would like to thank you for being my guest today, for listening to my presentation, and for visiting us. If you have any comments, criticism, compliments, feel free to say so. And aside from that, I am left with a couple of things to recommend you. In case you have time today, it would be really nice of you to visit our park. 60,000 square meters to visit. All of the installations are completely free and open for you to use. And feel free to enjoy yourselves with your family. And in case you want to visit us again inside the tunnels, you can go by yourself from now on. You don't need a guide anymore. Just get meditation tickets, much cheaper than the ones that you had bought today. Just follow these blue arrows, which will lead you to other parts of the tunnels, which we have not seen today.
Okay.
And if you want to try the water for yourself, I would recommend using it as a concentrate by putting 1 cap into a liter of ordinary water, leaving it overnight about 8 to 9 hours. And in the morning, you will have a liter of same value water as this one from our tunnels.
Okay.
That would be it from me today. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
if you're ready,
Tim.
we can go towards the exit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.